everyone, and welcome to the Skillup show. It's Monday afternoon and it's 1 p.m. that time where we come and do parenting. We come and talk parenting, how we can skill up our children so that they can become the best version of themselves. But we want to start by skilling you up first as a parent. As parents, there is the role of supporting our children and being their custodian and a solid support system behind our children. And if we do not equip ourselves and we do not learn the strategy that we need as parents to guide, to support, and to lead our children, then there is trouble. So, how do we get more parents to learn more about how to support their children? How do we get to support more parents so that they can in turn support their children? That is what the Skillup show is about, where we share strategies, we share skills, we share resources on how parents or that can help parents to support their children effectively. In today's episode of the show, we are going to be talking about raising preteens who can step up and lead effectively. I'm going to take that again. In today's show, we're looking at how we can raise preteens who can step up and take leadership roles. Dear parents, are you a parent of a preteen? Are you a parent of a young person? Are you one of those people who are constantly shouting, let children be children? Children are too young. Let them be children. All right, this show is for you today because on this show, we will be showing you, we will be discussing why children should be guided and encouraged to be leaders, even right from when they are young ages. There are times where we should say things like, let children be children. But in many cases, when you hear people say those things, it's because they are saying to you, let your children do nothing. Let your children be redundant when other people do things for them, because especially in this part of the world, this is what we are beginning to understand as letting children be children, letting children do nothing and depend on just other people. But in the show today, we want to let you know that your children have great capacity within them. And yes, if they are guided, if we are guiding our children right, our preteens especially, they can become amazing leaders at their level. All right, true leadership begins, or true leadership does not begin when you are given a title. True leadership rather begins when the heart is willing to serve and grow and inspire others. So when we begin to guide our children to be of service to themselves and to other people, when we guide our children to be people who are willing to grow and who are willing to inspire other people, then we are already encouraging and pointing them to be great leaders. When we teach children to lead, we encourage them to light up their own light. We encourage them to light up themselves. When we encourage them or when we teach them to be leaders, we are teaching them to shine their light. And as they shine their light, they also shine the pathway for other people to follow them. So as a parent, if you agree today that it is important, it is necessary to teach your children leadership skills. It is important and it is necessary to guide your children towards becoming leaders. All right, what you are doing is you are giving your child the permission to light themselves up, to shine their lights to the world. And as your child shines their light, I promise you, other people will follow. Other young people will learn from them. In the mastermind circle, we have a mantra that says that we are torch bearers. We shine the light. And so for every mastermind child, every mastermind partner, and we have partners who are as young as 5 years and 8 months and thereabouts. We have partners who are 6-year-olds. We have partners who are 13-year-olds. These children understand that they have a mandate to shine their light wherever they find themselves. They have a mandate to be exemplary in whatever room or whatever occasion or whatever situation they find themselves, they know that they have the mandate to shine their light. They have been given permission to be leaders. They have been given permission to light up themselves. They have been given permission to shine their light so that they can brighten the path for some other child somewhere who is in need of leadership. All right. So you agree with me at the end of this session that no child, and I repeat, no child is too young, especially not your school age child or your preteen. You will agree with me at the end of this class that your school age child, I mean your 6-year-olds, your 7-year-olds are not young or not too young to become leaders. At the end of this class, you will agree with me that your preteen is definitely, absolutely and completely ready to lead other people and to lead themselves. But of course, we know that leadership begins with self-leadership. So the moment we start encouraging our children, teaching them and guiding them to lead themselves, we are already giving them permission to be leaders, because as they shine their light, they brighten up and other people will follow the path that our children brighten up. So let's talk about why it is necessary, why it is important that we teach children leadership skills. After all, we have, in the Bible, we have children who were actually placed in leadership roles, and scripture tells us that they did well. Josiah became a king at age 8. At age 8, Josiah became a king. You see, David, by the time David was a young man, he was a teenager when he actually slayed Goliath. So what are we talking about? When I hear parents say, oh, let children be children, these children are doing too much. Someone asked me the other day, why my son, my 14-year-old, has to make food or make a meal for the family to eat. And I'm like, is everything all right here? My 14, you're not even asking me why my 9-year-old has to make food for me to eat. You're asking me why my 14-year-old. If my 14-year-old cannot go into the kitchen, or if my 14-year-old cannot knock on his father's door and say, Dad, would you like to eat something? Walk into the kitchen, whether he's a boy or he's a girl or she's a girl, walk into the kitchen, make a meal and present or give that meal to the father, and the father relishes that meal, then there is something wrong with my system. So dear parents, if you are on that table where you are still asking questions, why 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 14-year-olds should go and make meals or should do things or to put themselves in the position where they are serving, then this class is for you. Please stay on here so that we understand why there is a need for this. Okay? Why should our children be encouraged or pointed to leadership skills, even as preteens? And when I'm talking about your preteens, I'm talking about your 8-year-olds, your 10-year-olds, your 11, 12, 13-year-olds. Okay? Some school of thought say our preteens are children from about 9, whatever it is. For the purpose of this class, we're looking at your 8-year-olds. And I even extended this and I said, even your school age children. So yes, even your 6-year-old child. If you have a child that is 6, you are in the right place. You have a child that is 13, even for a parent of a young teenager, you are in the right place. Number 1, it will help your child to build their confidence. When children are given the opportunity to lead, when children are given the opportunity to serve, all right, they become more confident. Confidence actually comes or is developed from competence. Every time you do something and you do that thing so well, every time a child wins at something, every time a child accomplishes something, every time they are able to use their competence to achieve something, it leaves them with a bigger self-esteem, which of course leads to confidence. So if you want your children to be confident, then you want to introduce them to service. You want to introduce them to doing things that will leave other people happy. What are we talking about? Children are just mini versions of us. I hope you know that. They are just younger versions of the adults that they will become. So yes, you know how when you do something, I don't know about you, but every time I have the opportunity to do something that leaves somebody blessed, right? I actually go home feeling, after doing services like that, I actually go home feeling, it leaves me with a feeling of satisfaction. I don't know about you. All right. It leaves me with a feeling of satisfaction. It leaves me with a feeling of, of worth. Like I am what, as in, basically, I have the capacity to make somebody happy. I have what it takes to bless somebody. That is how it leaves me. So it's the same thing for your child. In fact, it's even more for children. Have you seen that 3-year-old or that 4-year-old who is able to share a toy or give something to probably an 18-month-old baby or a 6-month-old baby that is crying? And after doing that, the baby stops crying and begins to smile. Do you see the sense of satisfaction? All right. Do you see the sense of satisfaction that usually the 3 or 4-year-old toddler who has just done that gets? It is so palpable, the innocence of a child. So parents, we want to key into that opportunity and get children into that place. Remember, of course, that during this foundation stage, or this stage of their life, is where children are building whatever they are building in the most authentic way. So if you can get your child feeling confident as young as that, that is it. You are helping them become confident for the rest of their life. So yes, when we encourage, when we teach children to be of service, okay, because leadership is service. All right. When we teach them this and we get them into that place, then we are helping them build their confidence. Number two, it encourages responsibility. It brings a sense of accountability when you have been given a responsibility, because when people serve, then we have expectations of them. What happens is, when you are serving, you have presented yourself, right? You've presented yourself to be accountable. That is it. That is what leadership is about. So when that child in your classroom is given the responsibility of the class monitor, or is given the responsibility of the class leader, the child automatically knows that he needs to answer to somebody. He needs to answer to the teacher and all of that. So that is why the teacher steps out of the class and the teacher comes back and the teacher is like, class captain or class rep, what happened? And then he begins to give accounts. He gives accounts freely. He gives accounts without fear or favor, because he knows that he has a responsibility to give the right account. So that is what happens when we put our children in the place of leadership. We introduce them to accountability, and that makes them even more responsible, basically. I mean, there are stories. I mean, in my book Bedtime Stories for Champions, right? If your child has not read, is not reading, and does not have this book in their shelf or in their corner, you're wrong. If you have children 7 to about 13, they should read Bedtime Stories for Champions. This book is loaded with stories of young people who stepped into roles as leaders, impacting life and making a difference as early as possible. In the story, in the book, there is a story of Latisha Makungu. Latisha is a Kenyan child who came from a poor family and couldn't go to school because her parents could not afford it. So what did Letitia do? She started to rear rabbits. And from rearing rabbits, she started some sort of an NGO or something like that, where she was training women from poor homes, women who couldn't send their children to school. She actually started training them to be a part of the business. And from that business, she was able to build schools to send children from poor backgrounds, right, to these schools. So what did this do? It gave her a sense of responsibility because she took up that leadership role. This is what we are talking about. When you get children into that place where they become leaders, or we give them leadership roles, what happens is, number 3, it makes them empathetic. Yes, other people's perspective is one thing that a leader listens to. So when we give our children permission, or when we introduce our children to leadership, what it does is it helps them open themselves to listen to other people. Have you seen those little children, even in the classroom, that you tell them they are now the class rep or the class monitor? You will see people get into trouble, and you see them there standing and trying to understand. Okay, what did you say? This one is giving their perspective and all of that. So what you do to children when you do this, you teach them to listen to other people's perspective. You teach them to show empathy to other people. It is part of, compassion is part of, the quality of a good leader. And so when we put children in this role, we teach them to start building these skills, as it is. All right, the next one is it enhances their problem solving skills. Yes, it enhances their problem solving skills. In Bedtime Stories for Champions, there is the story of Covey Neves. That is Covey Knives or Neves. He's an American. All right, Covey, Corey and his mother, right, didn't have, they had moved into a new city and they didn't have a car, and all of that. And so every day he has to jump the bus and all of that. And he wanted a car so badly, and he wanted his mom to get a car. And the mom was like, hey, Corey, we can't get a car right now because we can't afford it. And guess what? He started thinking, what can I do to help my mom get a car? What can I do to contribute to my family having a car? And he decided he wanted to start selling cookies, right? He started selling, he started selling lemonades or cocoa, So he started selling cookies first and all of that. Now, just because he decided to put himself, all right, or he was encouraged to allow himself become a leader or allow himself be in that role where he's trying to create, solution, where he's trying to lead a cause. What happened? He started thinking of how to solve problems. So that's what happens when we put children, or we introduce our children to leadership. We introduce them to service. We put them in that space where they begin to think of how to solve problems. Leaders will face challenges, whether they are little leaders or they are big leaders. You definitely will face challenge. And as you face challenges, you will find yourself in a place where you are trying to provide solutions. You will find yourself in the place where you begin to think of how to solve problems. So when we introduce our preteens, our young children, to leadership skills and leadership roles, what we're doing is we are enhancing their problem solving abilities. And then the fifth one is it prepares them for a future. It prepares them for future opportunities. Leaders are open. When we have taught children leadership skills, we open them up to recognize and to key into other bigger leadership roles. It is very critical. When we teach children, when we guide children, when we make them understand the place of service and, in retrospect, the place of leadership, we open them up to more opportunities. When they take small responsibilities this time, as they grow older, they are open to taking more or bigger opportunities. So yes, these are some of the reasons why you should teach leadership skills, why you should introduce your children to leadership, why you should help your children see leadership as a life skill that they need. Let's quickly look at 5 areas of leadership for our preteens. Let's look at 5 areas that we can point our children to that they can build leadership skills from. Number 1 is community engagement. Yes, get your children to think of what it is that they can do, what it is in their community that they can do or they can serve. Let them think of ways that they can serve their community. And it's from the really very simple or little things. It could be in church. Teach your children. How about you decide, just you and your family, that you will go to church once in a month, once in a week, or something like that, and you will help in cleaning, a part of the church. Okay, how about introducing them to communities in your local, in your locality, communities in your locality where they volunteer to go to old people's homes, where they volunteer to clean the parks, where they volunteer, just put children in that space where they can join other communities, or they can think of community projects that they can embark in or on, right? That they can take on. When they think of this community project, allow them think of how they can, bring other people, how they can ask other people to volunteer. They can start with their friends, they can start with family members. Just put children in that space where they begin to think in this way, where they think of service, where they think of volunteering, where they think of community engagement, when they think of how to do something that can impact other people, where they think of doing something that can change the lives of other people, where they think of doing something that can make their community a better place. We can start right from our homes with our 2-year-olds, with our 3-year-olds, with our 4-year-olds. Create a system in your home where the children get to do some sort of a service once in a month, once in a year, once in a week, once in a month, or something like that. You are creative, dear parents. All right. An intentional parent is a thinking parent. Think of how you can create such systems in your home. It is from the little things, the things or the routines and the structure that you have in your home will create the first experience that your children need. The children will build on those experiences as they grow older. As the children create projects at home. All right. So recently in the mastermind circle, we came up, and we told the children to think of their talent projects that they can do. All right. Think of a talent project that you can do, right, and you can execute on your own. These are our way of pointing children to leadership skills. Yes, these are our little ways of pointing children to these leadership skills, and it is very important because what it does is it allows children to get into that place where they begin to take initiative. These are qualities of leaders. Good leaders can take initiative. We're going to come back to that. Number two, another place where our children can exhibit or they can practice this leadership skills is in their school leadership. Yes. Why should your child not aspire to be a prefect? Why should your child not aspire to be a class leader? Why should your child not aspire to be a class representative? So when I see parents who say things like, oh no, I don't like distractions, I don't want this, I laugh. What exactly do you mean by distractions? That you encourage your child to be in a position where they can serve, all right? That you encourage your child to be in a position where they can shine their light for other people to follow. What exactly do we think that school is? For some of us, school is just that place where our children go and learn concepts. They go, they learn math concepts, they learn science, they learn this. When they cram all of these things or they know all of these concepts, and then when it is time for exams, they pour all of this, they get the good grades and they go. School is beyond that. School is actually beyond that. All right, that your child is taking up leadership roles, all of this is part of what school is about. Okay, this is all part of what educating a child is about. In my home or in our home, leadership is a giving. All right. So our children are encouraged to put themselves in a position where they can be invited. Okay. They are invited to take up leadership roles. They are encouraged to put themselves in positions where they offer to serve. They're encouraged to put themselves in positions where they actually volunteer every time there is a need for volunteering. So yes, we actually work towards becoming prefects. It is a goal. We strategically work towards becoming prefects. We keep the track record. Our children know. Keep the right track record. Do what you can do to get the opportunity to serve. All right. So when I see people try to trivialize, right? Try to trivialize leadership roles, or people try to reduce the child being encouraged to take up leadership roles, to the fact that you want the children to be proud, or that you want the children, to get the role so that they can be proud that they were given that role. I smile because it just simply tells that we don't have an idea what real education is about. Because real education is to, right, transform the child and then give the child, put the child in a place where the child can recognize opportunities and take those opportunities. So yes, if you are not teaching, or we're not teaching our children to recognize the opportunity to serve and to take up leadership roles, then education is not complete. So yes, it is a responsibility, dear parents. It is your responsibility to teach and to guide and lead the children towards taking roles that will help them serve. We were created to impact humanity. God did not create us to just come and get good grades and get jobs, earn money, and feed our family and drive around in good cars. We were created to come and be we're created to come and live a purpose that will serve humanity. So yes, service is part of the purpose of our creation. So what are you saying when you say children? I want them to stay focused. I don't want them to take leadership roles. There are times that, right, maybe for a particular year, you want them to, maybe the child is distracted, or the child is trying to achieve something at a particular time. You are like, okay, something, let's focus on something per time. All right. But to say that you stop children from taking leadership roles. In fact, I'm not even in that space where you say because you want to stay focused. What is the leadership role supposed to do? It's supposed to distract you, or it's supposed to give you responsibilities. I hope you know that responsibilities lead to focus. The more responsible our children are, the more responsibilities our children have, the less distracted they are. Because truly, the things that distract them are even not the things that are effective, not things like their schoolwork or taking up leadership roles. That's not the real distraction. The real distraction are those gadgets in your home. The real distractions really are the gadgets, basically. All right. So when I hear parents say, oh, I don't want my children to take leadership roles in school because I don't want them to be distracted. No, you're wrong, dear parents. You are wrong. Our children should be guided and led to take up leadership roles, because then again they know that leadership is service. It's because we also do not attribute leadership as service. So that's why we look at it as a distraction. Why would you be serving humanity and you think that is distracting? So very key. The school environment, okay, taking up leadership roles in schools is one of the ways that we can teach children to build develop leadership skills. The other one is by helping them set personal goals. When we help or we guide our children to understand the place of goal setting, understand the place of planning to achieve those goals, or putting up actualization plans, okay, putting up those plans that will help them achieve their goals, all right, and then of course helping or guiding them to stay true to those goals by creating systems that will help them execute. What you are doing is you are teaching the child, first of all, self-leadership. You set the goals and then you persevere. All right, you set the goals and then you persevere, you stay on there, and then you make it a commitment that you achieve those goals. When you are doing that, the child, of course, is learning. The child is learning discipline. The child is learning self-control. The child is learning grit. The child is learning perseverance. The child is learning to be resilient. All of these things are qualities that are needed in a leader. So yes, if you want your child to be a leader, if you want to point your child to leadership, then you want to get them to set goals for themselves and guide them to accomplish those goals. Because as they are accomplishing the goals, they first learn to lead themselves, and of course they build all these other qualities and all these other skills that are needed for them to be effective leaders. All right, the next one is when we introduce our children to leadership and service, we enhance their ability to resolve conflicts. When children get into leadership roles, you find them becoming small conflict resolution, agents or something like that. Have you seen that child in your year 4 class who happens to be the class captain or something like that? You will see the child just takes on that role and becomes responsible and feels responsible for his other classmates. So when there is a conflict in the class, when there is trouble in the class, you see him take it upon himself as a responsibility to try and resolve the conflict or to try and come in. So he knows that he has a responsibility to his teacher. He knows that his teacher is going to hold him accountable. He knows that he is accountable. So automatically he learns to resolve conflict. So if you want children to learn leadership skills, then we need to give them these leadership roles that will help them practice, how to be effective leaders. But when we get them into that space, we're also teaching them how to resolve conflicts. They can take that conflict resolution skills as they grow older and they become real good conflict resolution agents, basically. And then the next one, it enhances their problem solving skills. All right. When children are put into leadership roles, all right, when children we're still talking about areas, right? Areas where children can, of course, become leaders. All right. So when we put them in decision making, environments, basically, when we put them in this kind of environment, when we ask our children, about their decisions, when we allow them make decisions, when we allow them give us their opinion on issues in our homes. All right. When you put them in a space where you trust in, or you let them know that their opinion on issues are important. So you have small, family projects, you have issues in the family, and you ask the opinion of the child. When you do that, you are, of course, encouraging and you're putting the child in that space where the child can begin to make decisions. And of course, as you're doing this, you are helping them practice leadership skills and putting them in a position where they can be leaders. All right. So now let's go to ways that we can train our children to become leaders. Okay, what are the ways that we can train our children today to become leaders? All right. Now, in the mastermind circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group, now our curriculum is built, right, to help children become leaders. So as a strong part of our curriculum is to build leadership skills in our children. So if you're a mastermind parent and you are in this call right now, you will see that as I go through this, you will see that, okay, this actually sits at the core of what it is that we do in the mastermind circle. Because as we say, the mastermind circle is a foundation ground, right? It is a foundation ground. And what we do in the mastermind circle is we help children to build a solid foundation. All right. So the mastermind circle is a unique accountability and mentorship program because of the age of the children that we are working with. So we work with preteens and young children. So we're dealing with 6-year-olds, we're dealing with 6-year-olds through 13-year-olds. And so we graduate the children, or we send the children off, all right? They completed the program when they turn after 14, the year they turn 14, at the end of the cohorts that they turn 14, they complete the program. Now, in the program, we take them through a process where they develop habits and they develop certain skills, and then in different areas, 9 areas actually. And one of those areas is actually leadership. So we take them through a process that will help them build leadership skills, that will help them build, that would take them through doing activities and strategies and using resources that will help build their leadership skills one day after the next day. One day at a time. So for every day the child is in the mastermind, the child is developing leadership skills. And we are so practical in the mastermind circle that we don't just teach the children. All right, we don't just teach the children, we bring strategies, tools, and resources that will help build the children through practice, hands-on practice, and of course events and situations, and through role play and other things like that that will help them build the skills. All right, so let's take you through some of the skills. Number one, you want to teach and get the children to do things, activities, take them through experiences and processes that will help them take initiative. All right, so the children will have to learn to take initiative. Taking initiative is a way of developing or building leadership skills in our children. Now, when you come to the mastermind circle, the first thing we do when the children join us is we get them to set goals for themselves. And so we allow them go through a process of goal setting for an entire month. So they take an entire month and they set goals for themselves, one day at a time. And then we don't leave it at setting those goals. We take them through a process of creating plans for those goals. So they create plans for the goals. They decide what goals they want. They create the plans for those goals, and then they break the goals down to achievable portions, like daily achievable portions. And then we send this back to them as daily task. So what the task is supposed to do is teach the child, or it's to prompt the child to take initiative, all right, to take initiative towards achieving that goal. All right. And so as the children do this consistently, day after day, they get to the point where they do not need people chasing them or people hounding them for them to try and achieve their goals. They begin to see their goals achieved one day at a time because of how we have structured, right, and how we have broken down the goals to the point where they can achieve them like one block on the other, one day after the other. All right, so that's one of it. Apart from taking initiative to do those tasks, we also introduce the children to taking initiative, as in coming up with small projects on their own. So if you're in the mastermind, especially in this cohort of the mastermind, you will hear the children have projects. Our children come up with their own projects. We prompt them, we guide them, and then we give them examples, and we allow them come up with their own initiative, come up with their own small projects. All right, this is what we do. In fact, we're running a course right now outside the mastermind in the PTM. We're running a course for the whole of November. It's called A Pathway to Becoming a Resourceful Teenager. We finished module 1 of that course this Saturday. It's every Saturday. And at the end of module 1, what we have done is we have brought the children to an awareness of who they are, the things that they love, their personalities, their temperaments. We have allowed the children to identify and to begin to see and know who they are. Now we are we're getting the children to put all of the knowledge that they have about themselves to come up with their identity, right? To come up with their identity. So at the end of this first module, if you meet a child that has been or that is a part of that course, it's for 10 to 14-year-olds. If you meet a child that is taking that course, that child is able to tell you in tangible terms who he is, what are his interests, who he is, his interest, and of course, who he believes that he is. The child has a sense of who he is, his identity, basically, because we want to bring children to the point where they are aware of themselves. They are aware of their capacity. They are aware of, that they are enough. They are aware of their individuality, what makes them different from the next person. They are aware of why they act the way they act, because now they understand their personality. They understand the things that drive them. They understand why they are working or they are operating from the templates or the scripts that they are operating from. That is the goal. All right. So when I say that I am a child motivator and child support expert, it's not just bragging. I know how to work with this group of children. I know how to work with young children and preteens. Okay, because this is my forte. And because I know this, because we know this at the PTM, we know how to streamline and how to, help this group of children, right, begin to throttle on their own or begin to own and direct their own life. And this is what we do in the mastermind circle. All right. So part of what we do is helping the children build their build their leadership skills, and part of it is we get them to that place where they can take initiative. They can take initiative with the task that we give to them. They can create their own they can build or create their own initiative and then commit to it and see it through to the end. So this is what you want to do as a parent. You want to raise children. You want to help your children get to that point where your preteens can create, they can come up with projects on their own, that can, come up with initiative. They can initiate something and then see it through to the end. When you do this, you're helping them build leadership skills. You are building them up, to take up leadership roles, solve problems in their environment, proffer solutions to the problems in their environment. All right, so that's number one. Number two, you want to teach goal setting and planning. I said it a few minutes ago, that when children come to us in the mastermind circle, it doesn't matter if they are junior partners. Our junior partners are between 6 and 10, okay, and then our senior partners are between 11 and 14. 14 is when, at the end of the cohort that they are 14, we do a sign up for them, and then we graduate them to go and be resourceful and productive teenagers, because we know that by the time your child has stayed with us till they are 14, we will be ushering them into the world knowing that they are resourceful, they are productive. Yes, they are resourceful and productive. All right. So yes, what we do is we get them to that space where they set goals for themselves. We don't set goals for the children in the mastermind circle. No, we allow the children set their goals for themselves. Now, when you set that goal, as I said, we take you through the process. It takes us an entire month to go through this process. So no, it's not one of those things. Oh, vision board, get your vision board, do your vision board. Do you have your vision board? Yes, we do. No, it's not that. We take them a whole month. We take them through a process, because we know that the person who understands the why is better than the person who understands the how. Okay, so it's not as simple as just getting pictures, sticking them. Okay, I want to do this, and a lot of times nothing happens. It's about it's about taking them through a process to understand why they are doing this. And of course, taking it through a gradual process. Because of the group of children that we work with, we are not in a hurry. We take our time to break down and deal with whatever it is that we are teaching or we are passing our children through. So I say to parents, if you have young children, you have your children, your 6-year-olds, the mastermind is the place for them. The mastermind is the place for your young children. I say this with my full chest. The mastermind is the ground that you need, is a solid foundation ground for your young children. I say your 0 to 10-year-olds should be in the mastermind. There is no foundation, there's no grounding, right, that we don't do in the mastermind at this level. That is why our accountability is close in the mastermind, because we understand that at this level, the children need time. They need to understand the why. They need to be handheld through the process. And you know what happens? In the circle, our process and all of this gets better every year. So this year, it is so robust. Our accountability system is so solid, because we understand that, especially our 0 to 10-year-olds, we understand that this is a time to take this window of opportunity. A lot of them have missed, a lot that they should know in the first 6 years of their lives, right? The formative years. So because we know that there are a lot of gaps in the formative years, especially in this part of the world. So that's why we don't joke with this next phase, which is the next window of opportunity to nip skills in the board. To nip things in the board, to help the children unlearn some of the things, they have already learned that will sabotage them, to help them lock in as many skills as possible so that they are open to building skills. They are open to learning. and they are in that place where they are creating and building the right kind of habits, because it is the habits that our children cultivate at this phase of their lives, basically, that will help them navigate the next level, the teenage level. So we don't want you to wait till your children become teenagers and you begin to have power tussles, because at this point they are so formed and they are so into their individuality, such that you begin to have a lot of rifts because the child is not listening anymore. He has too many voices in his head at this level as a teenager: the voices of his friends, the voices of pop culture, all of these voices in the child's head. All right, so we say the preteen and school age time is the time where you want to harness and build the foundation for what you want to see when they become teenagers. That's why we don't joke in the mastermind circle. That's why the accountability is close and the accountability is solid. So yes, the mastermind is a solid foundation ground, right, for your children, especially between 0 and 10. Now, when they get to 11 and 14, we are consolidating. We're having lots of conversations. We are getting them to be comfortable in their skin. Okay, we are identifying the areas where they have gaps so that we can support them again, all right, before they become teenagers. In the conversation with our senior partners, you would see, right, that we are, we are trying to cement a lot of what they have learned, as junior partners. We're trying to cement a lot of what they should have learned, or we're trying to make sure that we focus on the things that are missing in each of the children. So see, let me stop talking about the mastermind circle, because I can talk about the mastermind circle from today to tomorrow, knowing that it is such a robust, community if you want to help your child build a solid foundation. So yes, we get them to set goals, and that's what you need to do. You need to get children, right, to set goals for themselves, create plans for those goals, and then lead them to the process of execution. Let them execute. What happens in many cases, we have children at this stage who have so many information, all right, especially for your 11, your 10 to 14 year olds. They have learned, they know a lot of things. They actually know a lot of things. You have been talking since they were little children. They go to the mosque and the imam is talking there. Their malam is teaching them. The pastors are teaching them. Their coaches are teaching them, and all of that. By the time the children are preteens, your 10, your 11-year-old, it's not as much of the information anymore, but more of the hand holding and the accountability that is present for them to execute. So the stage where your children are between 10 and 14, it is more of skill and execution. So accountability needs to be close enough, and whatever they are doing this phase, at this phase of their life, needs to be more of hands-on practice, and the system needs to be there to ensure that they are seeing the things that they start through to the end. If you don't do this, you find out that we have children that when you say talk, they speak so much sense, and you get carried away thinking that because they can say these things, it means that they know these things. Or because they know these things, it means that they can do these things. It's not the same thing. So we recognize this in the mastermind circle, and that's why we work closely with them, because we understand that it's not just enough that they know. It's more that they are able to take initiative, okay? That they're able to take initiative and they're able to stay on task. Grit becomes important at this stage, right? And this is what we try to achieve in the mastermind circle, or this is what we're achieving in the mastermind circle, and this is what you want to do if you're a parent of a preteen. Hi, Ogogo. Thank you for joining. This is highly insightful. Thank you for joining, man. All right. So the next one is we want to get the children in the place where we create real life leadership opportunities. Yes. So this is how we are. Remember, we are trying to, be practical about our leadership skills that we're teaching our children. All right. So, how can you do this? Create real life leadership opportunities. You can do this in your home so well. If you're a parent and you have one, two, three children, you are blessed because now you can raise and you can help the older siblings to mentor their younger siblings. We also have the system in the mastermind circle. In the mastermind circle, we have the system where the children come in and we put them in body groups, and we have leaders in those groups. And the leaders in those groups have got responsibilities. As a matter of fact, they take some responsibilities off me. Right. The leaders support the entire group. They are there to remind them and send them reminders. All right, what are we doing? We are putting them in that space where we help them practice. We help them build their leadership muscles. And the children know that every single one of them has the opportunity to be a leader. All you need to do is position yourself for that leadership role. All right, because we know that leadership is not just preached, leadership is not just instructed, leadership has to be practiced, and there has to be a system that allow our children take on little leadership roles and practice those roles so that they are building themselves for bigger roles in the future. All right. You can also do this in your home by having your older children mentor the younger children. Now we have our conference, the mastermind conference. We have that conference usually in the week of the Easter week. And in that conference, the speakers are mastermind partners, a lot of our partners, senior partners who have shown themselves to have skills in that area. By the way, the mastermind is very focused on skill building. Okay, we are so our one of our biggest focus in the mastermind is helping children identify their superpowers, as we call them. We want children to identify the things that they know how to do, the things that they do with ease, the things that they do better than the average people, the things that come easy to them. Why are we chasing the things that we are struggling to do when we have the ones that we do? Why are we chasing climbing trees as fishes when we are in water and we can swim to our maximum capacity? So we point our children first to the things that they know, that they enjoy, that they love, and that they do so well. We are so big on this in the mastermind circle. We are so big on this in the mastermind circle. Okay, and then the next one is we point them to the things that they are interested in. So you may not know the skills that you have in that area, you may not, but you love it and you're interested in this. We point them to this and we say to the parents, is there a way that you can create you can offer resources, you can create opportunities, you can create platform, or you can find platforms, right, for them to see if this is actually their forte. And a lot of times parents do this and we find out that the children are actually really good at this. Okay, I'll give you an instance. During COVID, all right, our kids, of course, during the lockdown, a lot of children we're all tied up, with the children. Our parents were looking for all kinds of things for their children to do. I had a niece at the time who was with us, and she was into music, singing, and all of that, of course. So she would sing, and we're cooking in the kitchen, and she's singing, and everybody's singing with her, and all of that. And then I noticed that our son kind of sang well. He has this really very husky voice, and for us, it was just as simple as that husky voice. All right, but I noticed that his melody wasn't bad. When they're singing, she sings well, my niece now. But then again, my son can actually harmonize with her and all of that. For me, it was like tick tick, But he's that kind of person. He's a very systematic child, and and then he's in that place where I don't want to do what I don't want to do, that kind of thing. All right. So one day we were in church. I didn't do much about it, and then when the lockdown came, my niece we got a music teacher for her, and so I asked the kids if they wanted to be a part of it, and he was like, he was indifferent, like, I couldn't be bothered. But then again, we were all trapped at home, and so when the music teacher, he was online more like. So when he comes on, everybody's, his sister, everybody's there. So he kind of joins them and all that. But I realized he wouldn't do the assignment that he's given. He wasn't showing interest per se. We didn't push, because now this is not his easy. This is not, something that came from him. This is not a talent that we can see that he has also recognized that he has. He wasn't. So we didn't push. So one day we were in church, and after church, an elderly woman called me, and she was like, "Come, sis, mom, come." And then I was like, "Yeah, do you know he sings very well?" I'm like, not exactly. And she's like, "I sat next to him, and he sings really well." I'm like, "Okay, all right, man, thank you." So when we got to the car, I told him, "Oh, this person said you sing well and all of that." I was like, "Oh well, okay." And and we went on like that. Now he loves, the Jabba Jabba music that they see, animation, right? He loves those. I'm a giver, I'm a strong man. He loves all those rap things and all of that. So when he's working, he's cooking in the kitchen or he's doing the dishes, he's constantly going on and on and on and on and all of that. And so one day, for a period, I noticed that he would sit at the piano. So of course, I bought a piano. I bought a piano and left in the house when I realized that there was something there. But I didn't push, I didn't nudge, and all of that. Someone was relocating and had a piano for sale. And so I jumped on it and took the opportunity. I provided the resources, right? So we provided the resources around, didn't push, didn't do anything. We mounted it and left it there. And so every time I'll hear him, I'll hear, someone trying to, do something and all of that. And so one day I heard him screaming, and it's like, yes, 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 and all of that. And they were all excited. My niece, all of them were excited. What happened? He had been practicing one of the songs from one of those animation, whatever, one of his animation stuff, and then he wanted to play that song himself. And so he drove himself. I mean, he learned, and I'm not a music person, so I don't know. But basically, he actually learned the tone and played it on the computer, and he was so excited, about it and all of that. All right. And then a few weeks later, he came to me and said, "Mommy, I think I want to go to music school now. Can I?" you know, I think I want to go to music school now. Can I? I'm like, okay. So right now, I am looking for music school. In fact, we got one, and the bill was like 300 or something grand somewhere there. So we are working on it. Now he's interested. Because what? We didn't push. We saw something there. So for your child, there could be something there. Okay, all you need to do is just, how did I get here? Have I moved from what I'm teaching and I'm here right now? All right, so, but anyway, whatever it is, we're still on course. All right, so basically pay attention. When we pay attention, we get children into that space. They know themselves more and all of that. Self-awareness is very important. All right, so I was saying, provide real life leadership opportunities, so for your older siblings or the older kids in your house, make them role models or make them mentors. All right, give them responsibilities where they mentor their younger sibling. All right, so at some point I had to, we had to go through the whole sibling mentorship program with our son and all of that. So now our son is a mentor to his sister. So when they come, we have moved the conflicts that they would have ordinarily. Oh, she talked to me like this and all of that. And I'm like, is that how you speak to a mentor? So now when he tells her to do something, she doesn't come from a place of, he's just sending me around. She comes from a place of, he is mentoring you. And of course, the mentors will teach by example. So it's very easy for me to refer to mentorship when they have their conflict. I don't come in, I don't try to solve their conflict between them, go sort yourself out and all of that. But if for any reason I have to show up, all I'm saying is, okay, that doesn't sound like how you honor someone who is mentoring you, or that doesn't sound like how you teach your mentee. You teach by example. So I can say to him, you can tell her to do that now. You have not modeled it to her. So it's more like it's the mentorship. And so he has gotten a responsibility now. And so he looks and he thinks of his sister as a mentor. The other day, I got to school and her class teacher said to me, her brother actually came and said he would like her to come with so and so book every weekend and all of that. He went there to the class to request what he wants that he would be using to work with her at home, because now it has moved from, don't you know you're the older brother, don't you know you're it has moved to, don't you know you are the mentor? And what do mentors do? Mentors create springboards, right? And they guide their mentees to become the best versions of themselves. So leadership modeling, or creating opportunity for this is very key. Number four, you want to model this at home. You want to model leadership at home. All right, fathers, you want to model leadership, the way you speak to their mother, the way you relate with your spouse. All of that is you modeling what it takes as a leader. Let the children see through you that leadership is not lording it over people. It's not shouting and screaming the house down. It's not talking to people anyhow. It's not putting in yourself in a place where you cannot be accountable. The other day my husband came in, and my daughter, he came in and my daughter was like, Daddy, I don't understand, why are you coming home at this time? That's why she asked him, Daddy, I don't understand, why are you coming back, why are you coming home at this time? And he just smiled and said, say, God bless you. I am just imagining me asking my father this, so, but leadership is putting yourself in that place where basically your children can also hold you accountable. So you want to model this. You want to model the fact that you can be held accountable so that they learn that a leader is not a god, is not a lord. A leader can also be held accountable. And so when they take on leadership roles, they understand that they are, they will be held accountable. And then finally, give them constructive feedbacks. You want to make sure that you run a system in your home where you give your children constructive feedbacks. So for the ones that are the mentors, you want to feedback on how you think they're doing and all of that. When they serve, you want to encourage them to serve, and when they serve, all right, you want to applaud, their effort, and of course, you want to constructively, not criticize, but more like point them to what they could do differently and say to them, you could try this next time, you could try that next time. When you do this, now we are putting our young children and our preteens in that place where they can step up to take leadership roles, and they can do this effectively. Thank you for joining me on the show today. It's exactly 1 hour, and we have been here talking about how we can help our preteens take up leadership roles effectively because they are not too young to do so. Josiah was a king at age 8. Malala insisted on girls going to school in Pakistan, and she did not back down. She wanted to go to school. She wanted girls to be given the opportunity to go to school. She did a lot. She spoke out. She used her voice, and she was just a preteen when she was doing all of this. She even took a bullet on her head, believing in her convictions. Our children are not too young. When David slayed Goliath, he was only a lad. He was only a young teenager. Dear parents, our children are not too young. Let's stop all this. They are too young. Let children be children and all the things. If we are not saying it from a place of objectivity. If you want your children to be children, take the phones from their hands. That's how you make them adults. You want them to be children, take the clothes from them that make them look 10 years older than they are. You want them to be children, take off the music that they sing and they say lyrics that are too heavy for the mouth or for the lips of young children. That is you abusing them, and that's you not allowing them to be children. When you give them gadgets to be in the space with 5 billion, 8 billion people, 5 billion people online, that is you not allowing the child to be a child. When you give them access to platforms and you give them access to places where there are all kinds of people that you can't control, all kinds of mad people, lunatics, twisted people in the same space, and they have access to your children. That is you not allowing them to be children. Not when you introduce them to serving, not when you introduce them to impacting other people, not when you introduce them to living the purpose for which God has created them, not when you introduce them to using their superpower to create solutions in their environment. Not when you do that, not when you encourage them to be valuable, to be so valuable that the world cannot resist the value that they bring to the table, not when you prepare them to sit on the table with kings. Thank you for joining me today. And as I said, if you would like to have your child in the mastermind circle, we have a new cohort of the mastermind circle. It's called the foundation cohort. It begins in the month of January. So you can get your child by booking a slot with just 5,000 naira. Get your child ready for our foundation cohorts of the mastermind circle, okay, and then you can pay off in the next few months before January to join. It is just 55,000 to join the foundation cohort, and the child will be with us all the way to the end of this cohort of the mastermind circle at the end of August. Dear parents, this is such a robust community, and I think you should give your child the opportunity to join this transformation train, all right, so that we can partner with you to help your child become the best version of themselves. You have the information on your screen right now. If you would like to be a part of the mastermind circle, why don't you use that information? You can also check in the description on YouTube or in the comment section on Facebook to get the details that you need to register your 6 to 14-year-olds to be with us in the mastermind circle. Thank you for joining me again. I invite you to join our Skillup show. Sorry, how can I support my child series at 7 p.m. on Thursday, every Thursday. All right, especially if you're a parent of a toddler, because this month we are answering questions about toddlers and questions that will help toddler parents support that group of children more effectively. Thank you again for allowing me be a part of your parenting journey. Have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you and bye.